My name is Donal McCarthy and I am a music manager and promoter. I started DJing when I was about 15. My dad's in the music business. I used to go play, there was a squat in Maynooth that we kind of had. I ended up basically DJing there midweek for like a lot of managers and stuff who used to come out. It was pretty wild, all the students, Maynooth student town. Then I got offered to come in and play in town, the Dice Bar. It was my first place I ever played in Dublin when I was about 17 or 18, I think it was. And then it just basically started. I don't think I ever really thought it was going to be a full-time career in the music business, but I obviously loved it. So I started DJing in Dice Bar, but then obviously expanded and started getting different residencies. Then I met Ben Carrosso. And then Robbie Butler from the pod came to see me play. I think I was about 19 then. And then he basically said, do you want to come and play for me up in the pod? And then that was it really. I started my career in the pod and did 10 years there, which was amazing. It was the best place to grow up, one of the best clubs in the world, playing with all the biggest DJs in the world. Pod was kind of where my career it was like going to college, I suppose, really, for what I do now. When I left Pod, I was doing a few bits in Ireland, but I was kind of like, oh, I don't know if I'm arsed here anymore. It was a bit of a weird time. And Fergie, DJ, is a really good mate of mine, one of the first superstar DJs, rang me and said that Lawrence Malice, the creator of Trade, one of the most legendary clubs ever, who owned the Egg, which is obviously one of the biggest clubs in London, was looking for a booker, creative director. I went to meet Lawrence and got the job and did 2.5 years there and turned it around from being an okay club to being one of the best clubs. And then went on to win best club in the UK when I left it. It was a pretty cool experience to work in London, but also to go and actually succeed there because it's such a big place and you've got so much competition. You know, in Ireland, I suppose you'd say you're a big fish in a small pond, you know what I mean? Then you're thrown into this huge sea of all these other big promoters and big, you know, it was crazy to kind of go there and actually succeed because it could have been a disaster. But in fairness, when I went to Egg, there was a lot of good promoters and I learned that when I went to work for Pacha, I didn't have the same promoter team. So it was harder to run the club in Pacha than it was in Egg because I had a good promoter team. So all I had to do was get the right bookings and make the venue look really good. So we figured out all of the sound and light and DJ boxes and made it proper. You know, DJs would come and be like, wow, okay, the changes that we made were amazing. Like there was simple things. The way the DJ box is laid out was just all wrong. The monitors, just wrong. But they were the things that you learned in the pod. To be the best in the world, you have to have the best experience for the DJs to be able to come in and do what they do best in a really good, comfortable environment. And so when we made all those changes, you could instantly see it. I think the first weekend we made the biggest change was Lauren Garnier had confirmed to do his last LBS live tour. It was like, I think that was the best show we've ever had in the club, hands down. You can just see the atmosphere, the vibe in the room. It's just a different level. The level was just gone up a notch because you could see when the place was properly laid out and you had the right equipment and the right lights and everything. Just that was a moment when you could see that the club was changing because it was like, okay, now we're starting to get somewhere. You can just feel it in the air. The magic is there and people are like, wow, you know? Even all the staff are like, wow. And that's when everyone gets buzzed and then you get onto momentum. Momentum for me is creating hype. Smoke and mirrors is a really good thing that me and my partner Jay say, is to make things look bigger than they actually are, and then everyone starts to believe that they're big. And then when you have the mindset that people think something's really big, then it starts to grow. And when you have momentum, it's like being up on a wave. It's like trying to stay up on that wave for as long as you can, but also keeping that wave up. So it's like a kind of a balancing act, you know what I mean? But you also have to do it in a certain way because being up there too long is being in people's faces too long. So you have to come back down a bit. You kind of have to ride the wave because if you're in people's faces all the time, people are going to get bored of you. They're going to get sick of you. That's momentum. That's probably more on the music manager side of things than what I'm talking about being as a promoter. But I mean, it does make sense in all kind of forms from being a promoter or being a manager to have momentum. And yeah, it is what it is, I suppose. At the time, Jay had a management company called J Pigeon, kind of a big DJ in Ireland at the time. He left here to go and DJ in the UK and then became an agent and was an agent for like Marco V, Sander Van Doorn, Mauro Baccato, all the trance guys. He's been around the game for so long. He had a management company called the Volume Group. At the time he had Claptone, decided to close the volume group and started Purple Wall. I rang him about Sebastian Ledger. I was managing Seb for a little while, and then Seb decided that he wasn't sure if he wanted us to work together anymore. And I said, okay, look, I'm gonna go and see if I can get Jay to do this with me. I rang him, said, I need somebody to manage Sebastian Ledger with me. And he said, I need somebody to manage the Masquerade, which is Clapton's big branded events. I said I would do that if he would help me on Seb. And then basically that's what happened. So then we just started working together. That's 10 years ago, I think now, or 9 years ago. And now we've, one of the biggest boutique managing companies in the world. I've got a call at 2:30 with the whole team about, I have to keep it in reality, because sometimes it goes off into tangents, and sometimes I can be the person that brings it off and out of reality, but I'll quickly bring myself back in, because I have to make sure that it financially works, and then visually it's going to work, and then where it's going to tour, how many shows we can actually do. I have to plan the whole thing out. You can't make the music in the studio, but you can listen to it and you can have your input in it. But everything else you can get involved massively in. And the shows, from taking it from 500 tickets to 40, 50,000 tickets. And you can help in the direction of where the music's going. Overall marketing, everything else, you can have a hand in it. But again, the product has to be right, the person has to be right. There's a lot of factors in it. You have to have vision for what we do. And also with an act, you have to have a vision for that act. You can't just sign anything. Like, you have to look at something and go, can I make a difference to that person's career? And then if you think you can make a difference, then you sign them if they want to work with you. And I think really now people come to us. We have a good name in the industry. We've built a lot of artists' careers and built them to be very big businesses. We've built a system that works, I think, on every artist. It's very diligent. You can see from the outside, and you can see when somebody comes to work with us, it works. What we do works. I'd say it probably comes a lot from my dad, because my dad used to run the band, Fiddler's Green. So I kind of watched what my dad was doing from a very young age, of how he ran the band and how it all worked. And I think it's good because I understand from the artist side how to juggle the family as well as the career. Some people don't really get that, and I always try and put family first. Some of the artists we work with, I don't know if they'll ever have a family, or they're fans and their life is, that's it. That's all they're going to do. Some people don't want to have a family and settle down. That's fine. You don't have to. You don't have to conform to what everybody else does, or you know what I mean? And also another thing that's really important, you have loads of other artists that you manage, right? That's their business, that's their life, that's how they make money. It's their whole life that you actually have in your hands. You have to be mindful of all these things. You're working for somebody, but not just one person, you're working for a whole family. You have to look at all these things and be like really realistic and mindful of this. Probably a bit crazy, but all the party years, all that experience and fully immersing yourself in understanding the music, DJing for 10, 12, 14 hours, that stuff, that all helps now massively for what I do, because I understand it. I understand what the people want. I can understand it from a point of being a punter, from a point of being a DJ, from a point of how tracks are formed and structure and layouts of records and how records should sound. And all those things help me help the artist become the biggest and the best in the world. We don't want to work with people who just want to be okay. We want to work with the best, people that want to do the biggest things, win Grammys, headline the biggest festivals in the world. That's the mindset. So I think the future, it's just going to get bigger. I think the music business, we had the first $1 billion tour with Taylor Swift, so it's not going backwards, it's going forwards. And people like going out, and they like getting out of their mundane lives, and they want to go and experience like real things. Trying to go to a concert and experience the sound and the lights and that's amazing. I think we're good for a while. Fingers crossed.